Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the VR6 Turbo build. Today, I'm going to be working on the cylinder block. I'm getting it ready to put on the head gasket and head gasket spacer. I'm going to clear up all the old gasket here. I already kind of started using the old roll-log disc here hooked up to the air compressor, and I'm just gonna coat it in WD-40, then hit it with the old this cleans it off. It's not like too abrasive or anything for the cast iron block. I got my cylinder head from the machine shop. Look how shiny that is. Yeah, so that's looking good. Turns out I had 6 bent exhaust valves. So my engine's been out of time for like a decade, but it was running pretty damn good for having bent valves and being out of time. Pistons, you can see, are looking just fine. They're a little dirty, but yeah, we got the new valves in there. New valve stem seals, valve guides were within spec, so didn't replace those. I got a handful of goodies, but I'm going to try to just explain those as the time comes. I'm not going to just show you everything all at once and be overbearing. Okay, I'm going to get to it. I think I explained everything that I need to. I'm just going to show you some quick bits. So I'm just keeping it, I just gave it another little spray, and I'm keeping it lubricated with the WD-40 while I go over it with this. You can already see it's coming out pretty clean. But yeah, let's keep going and get this thing all shined up and ready for the cylinder head. Here's where we're at so far. I've been hitting it probably for about 4 or 5 minutes in total, not including the time I'm waiting for the compressor to build up air pressure. There's still a couple high spots. I kind of want to knock down the best I can, but I'm not going to get it perfect. Just enough to where it'll make a good seal. Alright, here's what we ended up with. It looks pretty clean. There's still a little bit of old gasket on there, but I think it should seal fine. And if it doesn't, then I will know how much I need to take off for next time. So now I need to clean out the water jackets. Maybe you can see how, yeah, you can see how nasty it is in there. Let's see if my, wow, yeah, okay. So it's like that on all of the water jackets. I'll be blowing those out, and after that I got to clean out the threads for the head studs, so I'll get going on all that. I almost forgot, I wanted to mention that in the last video I forgot to put on the check valve coming off of the fuel pump. So here it is. I got a little adapter, -8 to -6, and it fits right on there nice and easy, so that should be good to go. Alright, I didn't really record it, but you can definitely see I got some serious rust out of all the water jackets. Made a bit of a mess, but I blasted it out with my handy dandy blaster tool. I have the engine upside down right now, and I wanted to mention that I saw something kind of move around in the oil pickup tube, but I ended up finding all this stuff. I got it all out. Looks like some plastic. Something must have broke at some point and got sucked up in there, but glad I found that. Should get some better oil pressure. So I'm gonna keep cleaning this thing up, and then yeah, hopefully get those studs in there today. Fit the cylinder block today. Then I can start thinking about timing chains. So I blew out the threads for the head studs. I just used compressed air, and I cleaned out as much of the rust as I could. I could probably put like a hose down there or something and run it through. Yeah, I'll definitely end up doing that. But I'm ready to put the crank pulley on, and I wanted to show you guys this nifty tool that I got. It's from a company called Lucid Auto Works. Here's their little sticker there. So this is a cool tool to torque down the crank pulley bolt. It holds the crankshaft in place with this here bracket that you bolt into where the alternator bracket bolts up. And it's just 2 bolts and a 90-degree angle here, and yeah, you can hold the crankshaft in place while you torque down the crank bolt, which is what I will be doing. And I did want to point out as well that the tool will only go on when the engine is at TDC. All right, I got the bolt on there. It's a 27 millimeter bolt, and we are going to torque that to 74 foot-pounds and then an extra 90-degree turn. I already started it a little bit. We got it to 34 degrees. Get a little more leverage on this thing. Whew, that was a doozy. Alright, so what I did, I marked the bolt with a line at like straight up and down, and yeah, turned it 90 degrees. Learned that trick from the old humble mechanic. We got it on there. And it did start kind of loosening up. I could feel it kind of stretch a little bit. Cool, so I'm going to take this tool off, put it somewhere safe where I won't lose it, and then I'm going to put the water pump, well, I'll probably clean this up a bit, and I'm going to put that bracket back on. So I bought a whole new timing chain kit. I thought all the guides and tensioners were going to be broken because there was a lot of engine noise. Sounded like chain noise, in fact. But turns out it was probably the valves, like the valve train. I'm assuming. I still don't know. But my point is the chains were fine. All the guides, plastic guides and stuff were fine. So I have all these new pieces. I think it just goes right there like that. Alright, it's actually a new day. I had to go to the Harbor Freight and get a 1/4 inch to 3/8 inch for my little tiny torque wrench. Alright, so I got these snugged down pretty good, but yeah, I don't want to mess with that. Sorry about the dog. So this one's tightened to 89 inch-pounds. And that's straight out of the Bentley, fellas. Alright, well, that one was good. Well, I might have over-tightened that. Okay, and these ones are 25, right? 18 foot-pounds. Seems pretty dang tight, but let's go ahead and do it. It is out of the Bentley. Let me triple dog check here. Yeah, that's 18 foot-pounds seems like a lot, but whatever. I'm scared. That's... I don't know about that, boys. Let me try this one. Stupid ass Bentley. There's no way that's 18 foot-pounds. 18 or 18. 18 foot-pounds. Seems really tight. I knew it was too tight. I don't know if you can see it cracked right there. Oh, can't use that. Luckily I have another one. Okay, so I actually ended up taking off the intermediate shaft sprocket so I could get the chain off, and the guide right here, since it totally just broke. And I do actually have new chains, so I'm gonna put those on. I was just gonna reuse. They look fine. They are fine, but whatever. Might as well put them on. Okay, so I just threw in some oil in there, kind of worked it around in hopes that it'll be nice and not totally dry whenever, you know, initial startup there. Okay, so that we're at top dead center. Got that. Now we need the slack to be on this side. Oh yeah, that's better, I think. I think it's off a tooth. Okay, so I flipped the engine over so it's easier to tell what I'm doing. Tried to torque down these little guide pins to 18 foot-pounds like the Bentley says. Totally rounded them out, so hopefully they're good. I'm just gonna send it. Hello, Melon. And yeah, anyway, I got a new guide, new chain, new lower chain tensioner. I got those bolts torqued up. Those I'm hoping are good enough. Hopefully they never have to come off again for the life of this engine. Then got this on the intermediate shaft sprocket. I didn't torque it down yet. I have it counter held here with the crank pulley, whatever, holding it in place so I can tighten it down when the time comes. But yeah, I think the next step is going to be putting the head studs on, and I'm gonna save that for next time. All right, homies, it's a new day. It's been about 5 days or so since I've worked on this thing. I actually got a little freaked out there when that bolt cracked on me. Well, I don't know what to do about these. I'm pretty certain I had the socket seated all the way in there on both of them. Both of them rounded out. They are really tight in there, but when that cracked, I was worried that the cylinder block actually cracked because of how tight I was tightening it, even though it said 18 pounds. But yeah, so I looked back at the footage a handful of times, and I can see the plastic guide was the thing that cracked. So that kept me up for a while because I was like, shit, dude, do I need a new cylinder block? But no, we're all good. Now I'm going to be putting in the studs for the the ARP head studs here that I've had for almost 10 years. 10 fucking years I haven't used these. So yeah, I will get to putting these on, bring you guys, I'm gonna set you guys up here. And I've never done this, so you guys get to critique me. I got some 99% isopropyl alcohol. I'm going to be wiping the deck off with, just getting it nice and prepped. I figured it'd be easier to do this now than when all the studs are already in. Alright, I'm just using a tap to make sure the threads are all cleaned. I already blew them out with the air compressor, but make sure everything's out of there and that they're... You get the idea. Alright, now that we got the all the threads chased and cleaned out, I'm going to start cleaning these. So first you need a dog. Kind of wiping them down with some soap and water here. I'm going to give this a little mixy. Yeah, they do have like some sort of oily stuff on them, probably to preserve them, keep them from rusting. So I'm going to get them nice and dry. I'll blow them off with a compressor after this. Alright, we got all those done. They're nice and squeaky clean. I'm glad I did that. Now I am going to grease them up. I got the ARP fastener assembly lubricant. So I'm not going to film myself doing this to every single stud. So I'm just going to put this one in and then show you the finished product. That should be nice and lubed up. The directions say finger tight, but at the end I am going to snug them up a little bit with a wrench. Alright y'all, here's what I came up with. For the head gasket spacer install, we are going to be putting on actually three gaskets in total. So this is called a metal crush gasket. So this goes above the block deck. So you just put it over like here. Okay, so there's that. Okay, homies, I got the gasket spacer here. This is gonna drop the compression from, I think it's, what, 10 to 1 or so. This will drop it to 9.5 to 1, pretty sure. Anyway, whatever. It's pretty decently thick. If you don't know, this is going to allow me to throw more boost at the engine safely. One thing I did notice, you can kind of see there is some raised spots, and it's a little bit of spatter wherever the machine was cutting all these holes into here. Yeah, I tried to file them down, but I was scratching up the gasket itself pretty good. So I'm not going to do that anymore. There is a couple crush gaskets in between. So hopefully that's good enough. I'm just going to throw this on here, then if it doesn't work, whatever. I'm pretty used to fixing my mistakes at this point. So there's that. And then here is the other gasket. All right. So there's that. Pretty sure I'm ready for the cylinder head now. It's looking pretty clean. Alright, I'm just gonna send it. Pretty heavy. Alright. God, that looks so cool. I'm so excited. Alright, so I got all these lubricated, all the nuts and washers here. I started a bunch of them, and I'm just getting ready to torque the head down onto the block. So ARP says you're supposed to do it to a total of 80 pounds in 3 steps. So that's, we're going to torque these down in the factory sequence to 27 pounds. Then we're going to torque them to 54 pounds, and then finally in 80, finish them with 80 pounds. All right, got the wrench set to 27 pounds. I'm going to go ahead and start torquing this thing. 1, 2, and 3. All right, let's turn it up to 54. All right, we got that all torqued down. So next, I'm gonna be putting the cams in. Then we time the chains, and then I can put the timing chain covers on and the oil pan. In that order. I think the bottom one goes on first. I don't know, I gotta do a little more research before I know for sure. And then we can start assembling the rest of the engine, but I can't do that today, tomorrow, the next day, the next day, the next day, because I gotta go to work. So I'll see you guys in about a week. Peace.